Indonesia is one of the largest tuna fishing countries in the world. In 2000, Indonesia's tuna catch, estimated at 177,000 tons, was worth about $200 million to the country's economy through export sales alone. However, in recent years, catches have been declining, both in total numbers and the average size of the fish caught. Presently, about one-third of the tuna catch in the wider Western and Central Pacific Ocean, the WCPO, is taken by the Philippines and Indonesia. Recent stock assessment shows that tuna fishing in Indonesia and Philippines are having a large impact on the stocks in the WCPO region. Indonesia is in a very unique position in that all stages of the life cycle of the tunas are present here, from the tiny ones through to the juveniles and to the very large adults. A major concern is the level of fishing pressure on juvenile tunas in Indonesia.
Well, juvenile tunas are everywhere, but they are pretty much concentrated in coastal areas. And in particular, they are caught on the fishing aggregation devices, or the FADs, or locally called here in Indonesia as rumpons. Okay. And so the fisheries, or the type of fishing gears that operate on these aggregating devices are the purseine, the pole and line, which is a recent development.
There are two types of pole and line. The big ones are mainly 80 to 100 gross tons, and the much smaller ones which are mainly found in the Sulawesi area. Pole and liners use small anchovies in combination with spraying water to create a feeding frenzy. The fishermen then use false baits, which are then taken by the skipjacks as well as the juvenile tunas.
And these gears actually catch a lot of juvenile tunas, particularly in certain seasons. So some of the actions that the government could take, for example, would be to regulate FADs, where they are deployed, as well as the number. Because another thing is that they should start investing on research to look into how using the biological behavior of tunas, why they associate with skipjack, why these juvenile yellowfin and big eye tunas appear on certain seasons, which particular seasons. If that could be predicted, then we can really look into possible management measures like area closures or time closures or a combination of both. Now here comes the policy part, because there's no policy right now that says you cannot catch the juveniles. There's no law against it. Okay? So, and that's a problem, and that's what the government could easily do, is set up, for instance, a policy or a law on minimum size of yellowfin and big eye. The take of juveniles can be avoided, because there's a choice there. You know, when you go to an FAD, if these big boats have prior knowledge that it's all juveniles, then they should go look for another FADs, because there are plenty of them to look for. Similarly, for the small scale fisheries, small scale fishers, they would know exactly that once they have through the first 5 or 6, kinds of fish that they land, they would know exactly, I'm at a school of juvenile.
One of the favored live baits for the pole and line fishery are anchovies. They are normally caught by lift nets. There has now been such a depletion of coastal bait fish that the lift nets, which were on fixed platforms close to shore, have now progressed to being on boats which have up to 100 lights on them that are able to move far from shore. Acquiring live bait has been a problem since the 90s. The pole and line boats have increased dramatically over the years, and anchovy demand is incredibly high, and there isn't enough supply. Fishermen are now switching to new species. There is a problem associated with this, because they are now using approximately 41 non-anchovy fish as live baits, and many of these species are juveniles of commercially important fish. They are now exploiting fusiliers, the juveniles of carangids or jacks, and even skipjacks on certain occasions. The tuna longline industry is also very heavily reliant on bait.
Jadi untuk umpan ini, untuk penangkapan tuna, khususnya di benua ini, umpannya awalnya didatangkan secara import dari Jepang. Itu karena kesulitan import sering ada importnya sering terhambat, diusahakanlah di dalam negeri. Kita adakan penelitian dulu di pantai, di nelayan, kemudian kita ketemukan umpan yang namanya lemuru yang bisa menggantikan umpan import itu sekitar tahun 80-an. Kalau lemuru layang atau cumi juga ada, atau bandeng, itu mengkilapnya bagus dan tahan di dalam air. Yang jenis-jenis lain itu tidak begitu bagus untuk itu. Tetap juga kita pakai umpan lemuru karena itu harga murah. Kalau dia musim banyak, kita bisa dapat, kita bisa proses bekukan dia untuk pemakaian jangka panjang. Jadi kalau kita beli banyak, kita simpan di cold storage.
The Bali sardine, which is endemic to the area, is under enormous pressure at the moment and the catch is dwindling. There are numerous gears being used, which are catching all different sizes of sardine, including juveniles. Gill nets, however, tend to catch the more valuable larger sizes of sardine. A few simple actions that the government could take to ensure future sardine supply will be to encourage gill net use and limit the amount of fishing pressure. Other actions could be to close certain areas such as the nursery areas and close the fishery during the spawning season. These are little things that will contribute a lot to the sustainability of the fishing resource. Bali sardines are supplied to East Java where they are blast frozen. From East Java, the frozen sardines are then taken to as far afield as the Taiwanese fishing fleet in the Sulawesi Sea. They have now become the standard bait for the tuna longline industry. We could look into seriously developing alternative baits and milkfish. Canis canis is a perfect candidate because it is cultivable, naturally found in Indonesia in abundance. It grows very fast and the hatchery technology is already there. It is also a plankton feeder, so you will not be catching fish to feed fish. They grow in fresh, brackish and seawater, so they are a perfect candidate. Therefore, management of the bait fishery is very closely related to management of the tuna fishery. A recent development is the decision by the Indonesian government to allow purse seiners to operate in the Indian Ocean. This decision could have some very negative effects. This area was normally for longliners only. The fact that purse seiners normally use anchored FADs will mean a lot of entanglement in the near future. There will be a conflict of fishing grounds here.
If you allow big purse seine to operate in the Indian Ocean, then they will be competing with the resource that were exclusively for small and medium-sized fishing boats. Okay? So now these large purse seiners will be getting skipjacks, which normally from Sumatra down to Java and to the Sunda Islands were exclusively exploited by small-scale and medium-scale fishers. So again, you will have a sectoral conflict that would go into it. The first one is a conflict between two large sectors, that's the longline and the purse seine. Now with the introduction of purse seine in the Indian Ocean, you will be getting this conflict between small-scale and large-scale. Okay? And there is this competition for the same resource.
A recent attempt to limit bycatch in the longline industry by WWF is having some encouraging results.
Yang selama ini kami mulai dari tahun 2006 juga akhir, kami sudah mulai kerjasama dengan WWF dan juga kami juga setelah mencoba pemakaian circle hooks itu sudah dimulai sejak bulan Desember tahun 2006 sampai dengan sekarang, dan sekarang sudah pemakaian circle hook sudah merata di pemakaian ini. Permasalahan sekarang ini untuk circle hook, karena kita circle hook itu kita mulai dibuat di lokal, tapi materialnya yang susah didapat karena harus impor. Memang dari impor dari negara Korea atau Jepang, sehingga kita sendiri pemakaian circle hook agak terhambat karena penyediaan daripada stok circle hook masih kurang. Demikian.
Preliminary results suggest or pinpoints that we are reducing the turtle take, and the better news is that it is improving the tuna catch, which makes this program very, very palatable to the industry. with these initial results and the boat captains showing their colleagues about this new development and how improved their catches are, everybody wants to take part in this experiment.